The point of this lesson, lecture, is the pilgrimage. And of course, still it's on the practice of faith, not spending as much time on the the practice as we did on beliefs, because there was so many things to talk about. This is a survey course, and you always are left wondering if you're, you know, you're dealing with things too superficially. You will notice that last time we talked about contextualization, and did talk about the question of, you know, can Christians keep the fast, and the Muslim fast, Ramadan? And I never really answered the question. All I did was tell you what we had done, that we had kept, we had fasted. We didn't do it in the Muslim way, but we did pray and fast for various reasons. And you, in your ministry, or the ministry that you get into, you may choose to do differently. But here we're talking about the pilgrimage, and this comes during the 12th month of the year, the lunar year, Dhul Hijjah. Hijjah is that's where the word Hajj comes from. Hajj meaning pilgrimage, and it is Muslims. In other words, when Muslims do this, there's a great feeling of oneness. In other words, there's a great feeling of elation. You get, just imagine 2 million Muslims together. We get feeling pretty good too when we see a whole bunch of Christians together. It could be at a large meeting of one kind or another. So when they get together with their Muslims from all over the world, it's a feeling of great elation, and they feel it's just a spurt of energy. No wonder that some of them go back again and again. But it's quite a commitment. In any event, people who are poor may save all their lives to make this trip, and it does cost a lot of money, and it's a great sacrifice. And I should say that from some of the movies I've seen on it, I just showed one not too long ago to my class, taken National Geographic did it, and there were disappointments there. One fellow from South Africa had hoped that there would be no discrimination because he had felt that that would be different. However, he was disappointed, and he saw that on the Hajj as well, because he was black and so on, he felt like he wasn't exactly the same, up to the same level. And there was a white woman there from California, a beautiful, stylish woman, who felt that because she was white, someone questioned her, an American, about what she was doing there, and if she was really Muslim. She didn't appreciate being, have to give her son's permission. She didn't have a husband, to have her son's permission to even go on the Hajj. And she looked very stylish, almost like she was wanted to stand out for beautiful clothes, and in this pink dress, pink stuff she wore, and one thing or another, she really stood out, almost like she was at a fashion show. And then others, it was obvious that they had money to pay for better services, nicer places to stay. They received VIP treatment. So in other words, it wasn't quite as heavenly as some thought. So back to the Quran, on some of the verses that have to do with the Hajj. Chapter 22 of the Quran is the one that we're going to look at, 22 and verse 26 onwards. Give this sight to Abraham. And actually, I should read it all. Behold, we give this sight, the sight to Abraham of the sacred house, saying, associate not anything in worship with me, and sanctify my house for those who compass it round, or stand up, or bow, or prostrate themselves therein in prayer, and proclaim the pilgrimage among men. They will come to thee on foot, and mounted on every kind of camel, and I suppose both one hump and two humps, lean on account of the journeys, you see, through deep and distant mountain highways. To make the journey from West Africa would be no small job, that they may witness the benefits provided for them and celebrate the name of Allah through the days appointed over the cattle which he has provided for them for sacrifice, then eat thereof and feed the distressed ones in want. So it's quite an experience. And then it goes on and says in verse 30, such is the pilgrimage. Whoever honors the sacred rites of Allah, for him it is good in the sight of his Lord, lawful to you for food in pilgrimage or cattle, except those mentioned to you, and so on. Nowadays they have quite a system of deep freeze so that they do preserve the meat and give it out to poor people. So that's the Quranic basis for it. They do some things on the pilgrimage that seem a bit strange. A few years ago, when I was back in Pakistan doing research for my dissertation, at which time I interviewed 32 former Muslims, and then wrote my dissertation, Islamic Ideology and Fundamentals in Pakistan, Climate for Conversion to Christianity, ? And this book, by the way, was published as one of the top 15 books on missions in 1998 here by University Press of America. When I was back in Pakistan doing research during the month of October, I was at a city waiting for my suitcase, and people were just coming back from the pilgrimage. And down the conveyor belt were can after can in this particular city, a place called Faisalabad. It used to be Lyallpur in the days of the British, but then eventually they changed the name to Faisalabad to make it more Muslim, as nationalist spirit became more intense. These were jerry cans, the kind of jerry cans they use with the American Jeeps and so on. And here they were, can after can after can. These are about 2.5, 3 gallons. I don't know how much water they use. And I said to the guy standing by me, I just waiting for his suitcase, Pakistani. I said, "What are all these cans?" "Ah," he said, "this is the people coming back from the pilgrimage, bringing Zamzam water." And Zamzam water, meaning that there's a well, of course, just right outside the Kaaba there, and people gather that water and they bring it back because it's holy water, and they sprinkle it on people, and they, as we've mentioned before, they sprinkle it on people who are dying and so on, and they wipe their hands in it, and it's holy water. It's very, in a sense, popular Islam, mystical stuff. And this guy was apologizing for this element of popular Islam that is very prevalent in Muslim circles. Now, let's take a good look at the Kaaba itself. Notice that right in the middle here is this black robe, holy Kaaba. Kaaba means cube, and then in one corner of it's the black stone. The tradition has it that this was a meteorite. And at first it was white, but then through a period of time it turned black through the sins of people. Notice that the circle is counterclockwise. Muslims walk around this way, counterclockwise, as they circumvent the Kaaba. This cover, every year Muslims put a new cover on this. This costs thousands and thousands and thousands, and takes forever. As they sew in gold letters out of the words from the Quran. And I should have said that they do their best to kiss the black stone or touch it or something and get that blessing. There they run back and forth between Safa and Marwa, these two pillars, reenacting that Hagar apparently ran back and forth in search of water when she was with her son Ishmael. Uh, these are the steps, as I mentioned. This is Zamzam. I'm sorry, the steps down to Zamzam. It doesn't show Zamzam. The station of Abraham here, because Abraham, you see, is very much part of it. He rebuilt the Kaaba. In the beginning, according to Muslim tradition, it was built by Adam, but Abraham rebuilt it. And they have different gates here, and you notice the minaret. It's really quite a scene. So then we leave the Kaaba, and during this 4 to 6 day pilgrimage, the Muslims journey on their way about 10 miles to the plain of Arafat. And on their way they do things, and on their way back they do certain things. But having arrived here in Mecca, in the state of now Ihram, the state of holiness, they shave their head and they put on a particular type of garment. The men in particular are very strict. It's 2 pieces. The women are not so strict in what they wear. And as I previously mentioned, this American woman was a beauty queen, to be sure, because of the way she looked and acted, and almost showing off. She was a convert to Islam, and telling her story of how that she had hoped to meet, someone, a Muslim. I'm not saying she went on the Hajj to meet a man, but she was hoping that eventually she would marry again, and someone would love her, and love her not only here but in heaven as well. I don't know how solid her Islamic theology is in that respect, but here the Muslims are. They're on their journey from Mecca. They're on their way through Minna, and they'll come back here again to the 3 pillars where they will stone Satan, and then they get to the plain of Arafat. And this is a very moving scene, because you can see Muslims in great expectation as they sit here or stand here in the presence of God. Some of them climb the mountain, and I should have said that there are buses, but it's a slow-moving caravan, and some people prefer to walk. It's hot, and there is, of course, water along the way, and one thing another, and so they are on their way to plain of Arafat, and while they're there, they expect God to come down and sort of, and they're in great, you can see Muslims sitting there with tears in their eyes. They're contemplating and reflecting on their need of forgiveness, and it is quite moving, because when I compare my own faith with that, I realize that I meet with God every day, and he comes down. He is here. He lives in my heart. I fellowship with him, and he's close. Doesn't happen once in a lifetime. So that happens at the plain of Arafat. And then they turn around and make the journey back. And as they go back, they go to Muzdalifah, and they offer their sacrifices. They butcher a camel or a lamb or whatever it is, and according to the size of their family, some male relative will do the job. And then, as mentioned before, they throw stones at the devil, an uneven number of stones, as they stand back and throw stones to combat him, to defeat him. It's a symbolic gesture. And then after having done that, then they get back to Mecca. I should mention that on this pilgrimage, when they sacrifice an animal, it is the regular yearly sacrifice that Muslims do offer. They don't call it, they don't think of it as redemptive, but nevertheless, when you read the account in the Quran, it sounds like it could be a redemptive analogy. It could be redemptive. They, as they're doing their sacrifices here, likewise, Muslims all over the world, you see, this is the great sacrifice, the Eid al-Akbar, the great. Akbar means the big, great. Sometimes they call it Bakr Eid, which stands for goat, Bakr Eid celebration. All over the world, Muslims are offering this sacrifice, and here in Mecca, they're doing it as well. So there's a lot of meat. I mean thousands and thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of animals are sacrificed. Here is the Kaaba. Just one of my students did this, sort of an artist's conception of it. It's I forget the exact measurements, but it is a pretty impressive sight, the Kaaba. And we think of